my name is Ntabiseng Mamabolo, and welcome to A Seat at the Table, where we amplify voices shaping Africa's future through leadership and bold vision. Today, we are honored to feature Phindile Ndlovu, a SAT Global Ambassador and a key architect for our 2030 vision to ensure that qualified leaders occupy a seat at the table where it matters most. Phindile is a dynamic leader who already holds a seat at the table at the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, a pan-African non-profit organization that is preserving our heritage and advancing women leadership and education. She has worked tirelessly to deliver impactful initiatives like African Peace and Sustainability Dialogues, International Women's Day celebration, Africa Day events, and powerful roundtables that drive continental progress. For this episode, she will unpack for us her leadership journey and, of course, how she continues to make impact on this beautiful African continent of ours. Welcome, Phindile, to A Seat at the Table podcast.
Thank you so much. What an honor. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Phindile, you are a global ambassador occupying a seat at the table where it matters most. Where did it all start for you?
Sure. That's a loaded question. Global ambassador, thank you very much. And let me see. I mean, I'm an ordinary girl, but I like to say I have got an extraordinary God, because my story is similar to every story you've heard. A black girl growing up post-apartheid, 1996, you are born into poverty. My dad was the only person who was working because my mom couldn't work because education was for men. She was supposed to get married, find a man that would take care of her. So I was born into that, and I didn't see anything wrong with that. And because you're a child, you make the most of everything you see. I'll give you an example. So we lived in this house, one bedroom. Everything was there. The bed, the kitchen, everything was there. And whenever it would rain, the roof would leak. But because I'm a child, I would just sit there and count the drops. And I used to say, "Tobo," right? So yes, there wasn't a lot of stuff, but there was love. But because of, we are in a new dispensation, it's democracy, things are tough. There was a lot of conflict later on between my parents. So like I said, normal story where there's dysfunction, there's poverty. But God stepped in, and you'll see the thread as we have this conversation where he steps in and intervenes, and he changes my life so that I could be where I am today. So fast forward, I'm in Durban, I'm in KZN, and I'm in school, and my English teacher says, "Who wants to go to a school where you don't have to worry about dishes, cooking, nothing, just academics?" I raised my hand. I was like, me, I'm so done. Because I felt stuck. I was in this dysfunction, the poverty. I was there. But I knew that I couldn't stay there. I had to go. So there was a yearning, and my teacher saw this. And she said, "There's a school. This lady from America built the school. So you would have to go there and focus on your academics and really do well, and you'll be leaving home. You'll come back after 3 months." And I was like, perfect. No dishes, no chores. Sign me up. And, I started the process applying to the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls. And I remember the first set of interviews and tests. We were at a school in a private school in KZN, and we had lasagna and a green salad. And the green salad had olives.
Wow.
I have never seen olives before. So I'm making my way through the plate, and I pick up this grape and I eat it. And it's an olive. And I sat there and I thought to myself, I don't know how to tell people this is bad, it tastes bad. And I think that's when the moment, struck me to say, for the first time I feel less than. For the first time it dawned on me that I'm actually poor. I don't know what I'm eating. I've never seen lasagna in my life. So really, and that's the story of every South African born, I think, in 1996. You have these structural challenges that you have to overcome, and God intervenes, and I get accepted to the school, and my life was never the same. And I think that's where it started. That's where it began to say, I don't want another person feeling like that, feeling less than, feeling subhuman, feeling like inadequate. So that's where it began.
Oh, wow. That's really amazing.
Yeah.
And what has amplified your commitment to driving change on the African continent?
What has amplified my commitment? I think, so I finished high school at OLAG, and I go into WITS. And at WITS, because I'm from the Oprah school, I had a laptop, I had everything I needed. I could write essays, I was okay. But your roommate, or your close friend that you are meeting for the first time in this institution has to sit at the lab because they don't have a laptop. They can't even type. If you talk plagiarism, they don't even know what you're talking about. And I think constantly seeing that, life is difficult for a Black person who hasn't been given an opportunity like I have. And I think that amplified it. And I remember when I got the call that I could come to the foundation to volunteer, the Thabo Mbeki Foundation to volunteer, I walked in there. Everyone was in their African garments. Everyone was wearing their afro and rocking their locks. And for the first time, I felt like, okay, so it's okay to be African. It's okay to be Black because I'm light-skinned. So during my time at the Oprah school, my friends were like, are you colored? You're so light-skinned. And I'll be like, yes, I'm mixed-raced.
Yeah.
I would be ashamed to be Black. I felt like I needed to say, watch this, the beauty or whatever that you are admiring is actually not African. It's diluted. It's got other parts of it. And when I got to the foundation, that's when I realized it's cool to be African. I don't have to be anything but.
Yeah.
So I think that amplified it. That now I had this pride. I was proud of who I was, and I didn't feel inadequate. I felt like I belonged in that space, and I think I just wanted to again make sure that I'm part of the solution or the platform that gives people that opportunity to feel like they're enough.
To be proudly African.
Yeah, to be proudly African.
Beautiful. What has been an early mentor in your life that really shaped your career?
So like I said, it would have to be Oprah. I hate to do this, but because I went to the school when I was 13. And I didn't know much about her, actually. So when I started researching about her, when she started coming, and she would really give us the opportunity to meet formidable women, I always say that was a life-changing opportunity for me. So for me to know about her story and how she overcame and who she is now, that became a mentor for me. And to be privileged to have access to her was life-changing. So for me, I knew that my childhood sort of experience will not determine where I end up. Because when I went to the school, I realized there's so many other people like me, in fact, who have gone through so much worse. So for me, her creating the school or building the school, really for me, and just looking at her life, she was that mentor for me. And I would say failure, I was never designed to see failure because I like to sing in Inkan. So whenever I fail, I'm like, okay, no, it just means not now. I'll try again. I'll try it differently. But I think it would really be in the small things, like, when you set targets for academics, when there's a job opportunity that you are looking for, you don't get it. And I think for me, it really just amplified me understanding myself. I know now that I am a resilient person. It's innately who I am, So I'm not moved by circumstances so much. I have this mindset that I'll do better. It's gonna get better. I'm very hopeful. So I think for me, failure, in a sense, has allowed me to be resilient because I know I'm gonna make it, no matter what. God has got my back.
Wow, incredibly resilient, Phindile.
Yeah.
That's really a powerful leadership trait to have. You mentioned that the Oprah Winfrey gave you access to, powerful leaders who influenced your journey. How has the Thabo Mbeki Foundation as well been able to do that, particularly for young leaders?
Sure. The Thabo Mbeki Foundation is actually an interesting space to be in. When I first walked in, and I always tell this story, when I first started, and I would have to present to President Mbeki, Mrs. Mbeki, the board, the fundraising committee, and it's all these big people, Mam Clora Sirobe. It can be intimidating. And I used to enter the space, and the first thing I say, thank you for the opportunity before I start a representation. And I remember my chairperson, Ma'am Geraldine, would say, and don't thank us for the opportunity, and
Yeah.
for me, I really appreciated that space because then I had access to these mentors and people who are successful, but they see me not necessarily as an equal, but they see me as capable. The assumption is not she doesn't know what she's doing. The assumption is she'll get it. So that, I think, for me was from a personal point of view, was such an affirmation, really, to say that I am worth it and I deserve to be in that space. And what the foundation does for women now in its work, we've spent the past 2 years really investigating how can women be included in the economy. We often look at women as people who are like children. They need the charity, they need the handout, they need the leg up. And of course we do. But how can we as a foundation say we are going to systematically change things and sustainably bring about that change? And when we were looking at financial inclusion, particularly around women in the rural, in the township areas, we have decided that, how we are going to play our role is by really advocating for social businesses. Because social businesses, they bring back the values of Ubuntu back into the economy. It's not about profit. It's not about giving women handouts. It's how do we impact their lives? It's called impact investing. How do we really give women meaningful solutions so that they can be independent and being self-reliant? And for us, we are going to be launching a fund. I'm really excited for that. We're going to be looking at women and saying how do we make them to be resilient and have these businesses that are successful, that are making profit but are also solving some of the social ills that we're seeing in our country. So that's something that's really, really nice. That's spearheaded by Mrs. Mbeki. And I think she is such a force. If you look at what she has done with WDB, with microfinancing for women, it's remarkable. And for us, we are saying, let's take it a step further. Let's make the circle bigger, the table bigger,
Absolutely.
and get more people having a seat. And let's see how we can really look at women and have this capital mix and give women the help that they so deserve and need, that will allow them to flourish and not be reliant on the help.
I absolutely love that, to say that let's be the solutions to our own problems and not look to global communities to solve them, but really build solutions that are sustainable. And they say, when you empower a woman, you really do empower a community.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. What is your bold prediction for Africa's future by 2030?
Bold prediction. Can I not have a prediction? Can I have a wish?
Yes.
Can I have my wish for 2030? And it's something that I'm really passionate about, because we are a young continent. And I think if you think about apartheid, or any person who built a business during that era and they are successful now, they will tell you one thing: I didn't get successful by 30, 40, sometimes even 50. Success takes time. And I think for me, when I think about 2030, my wish is for more young people to start their businesses now and not chase the Instagram lifestyle, but just put in the work, burn the midnight oil, don't stop being in motion, so that by 2030, we've got businesses, the things that we have created that we are proud of, And if you look at 2030 is now. And how many reports and goals and agendas, 2030, 20 agenda, like 2060 agendas, things like that, SDGs. We say these stats around, but these are people. These are real issues that we need to be addressing. So for me, I would love to see young people saying, we are going to start something and we are going to be relentless and pursue this thing. And I hope we are going to be seeing a generation of young people rise, and they are not going to be starting businesses because, it's a lovely idea. They'll be starting businesses because they are solving a problem, an African problem. So that's my wish, just for us to start businesses that actually solve problems. Yeah.
That is a great philosophy, to say we need to make sure that we're solving problems so that the next generation after us can live in an Africa that we are proud to be in.
the Africa that we want.
The Africa that we want.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What is one advice that you can give every African today to progress in this week? Proudly, confidently, and we always say at a seat at the table, how do you connect, engage, and continue to inspire?
Sure. Perhaps it might not be a bold mindset, but I think it will be a mindset shift that we need. And when we look at the news and they announce a new conference, a dialogue, I'm in events, so I'm there working, that's my arena. And people will say, we don't need a national dialogue. We know what the problems are. We don't need to talk. We are tired of talking. These are talk shops. I would say maybe we shouldn't talk as much. Maybe we should do active listening. We should listen more. I think when you look at the conflicts that are in this continent, when we're looking at the problems that we are facing, we are not talking to each other to listen and to understand each other. We talk to get our point across. We talk to bully, to intimidate, to drive our own agendas. I think if we could say this week as Africans, I'm going to listen more. I'm going to listen more, and I'm going to understand the other person. You would be surprised at how empathetic and compassionate we still are as Africans, because people like to say, the center is not holding. We need to go back to the basics, our values. And I think listening allows us to go back to that. Yeah.
I absolutely love that. Let's listen more.
Yeah.
And not to respond, but really to just embrace and hear what the other person is saying.
Yeah. It's like in the saying, when you greet someone, you say, Sawubona, I see you. Yeah. So I think that should be how we carry ourselves. We see the other person, not necessarily because they are means to an end, but because you understand that we are part of the same source. If something happens to you and harms you, it actually harms me indirectly. So how do I listen and understand you so that we can build a better connection, so that we can collaborate, we can cooperate, we can exchange ideas, debate, and respectfully so that we know that this is the goal in mind, this is what we want to achieve. But we will never have one goal as a continent, as a country, as women, if we're not listening to each other. Because if we sat here and talked about feminism, your idea of feminism is different from mine. When someone says the problem is corruption, I can understand corruption in one way and you might see it in another. Yeah. But if we're listening to each other, we can say, okay, so this is the common thing here. This is the common issue. This is the goal. But it happens when we listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You raised something quite important there, and it leads to my next question around how do we nurture the next generation of African leaders so that they too can understand how important it is to really lift as you climb? What are some of the things that you dedicate to being able to do that?
I think often, especially with women, we want to get to the top and then send the elevator down. And that takes time. So we need to constantly be saying, how can I share? How do I soak like a sponge wherever I go, get the insights, and then go and ring myself and share? And that means opening up the space and not being intimidated when another smarter woman is in the room. Say, perfect. Get in, girl. Let's do this. And I don't think there's a lot of that happening. There's a lot of gatekeeping that we do. There's a lot of comparison that exists. And I think if we were to really nurture the next generation of leaders, is to make the space bigger. And it is big, because if you think about it, people like to joke and say it's lonely at the top. It is. Yeah. So let's get more young people, young women there. And we try to do this at the Thabo Mbeki Foundation. If you come to any of our events, you're definitely going to see an exhibition where women are selling products, they're exhibiting their products. You'll look at the program, there'll be young women, really influencing the conversation that is happening. You would look at even the service providers we use. We try to be really intentional and really put, our support and gather our support around women. And I think that's what it is. In everyday life, how do I make a conscious decision to be a sister's keeper? And I think when we all do that, you'll see it in the teams we are building. You know, there will be a level of compassion. There will be a level of I can't wait to go where I can share this. And I think we would use social media differently as well, because now it won't be I am showing off, but it would be I'm teaching, I'm sharing, so that someone can follow this journey and see what they take and see how that could influence or propel them forward. So I think, we need to do a lot of that, just opening up the space. I'm not being scared when someone better is in the room, because that's an opportunity for you to learn. I think we shouldn't wait until we get to the mountaintop.
We are definitely more impactful in numbers, and we definitely can drive a force as we build an army of, they say iron sharpens iron, right?
Exactly.
So when you surround yourself with women and men that are driving change, it only fuels your passion.
Yes, we can climb together. It makes the journey even more worthwhile. You're right. You know you're not alone, because actually, if you think about it, if you success or going after your dreams can be a lonely road. So you need to surround yourself with people who have done it, people who are doing it. And I think we want to be the only ones who are doing it. So I think, and it's tough, because like I said, when I started the foundation, I used to get there with such a grateful heart. Thank you so much, poor little me, right? And now I'm at the point where I'm confident in what I bring to the table. And I don't mind saying, you say something that's really, really smart. It's your idea. So how about you come and present it? And it takes nothing away from me. So I think it's not going to happen in a blink of an eye, but we should take the step, however minute. Let's be intentional to making the space feminine, making the space bigger for women to really thrive. And I like that God blessed me with the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, where that has happened. They made the space bigger for me, and now the onus is on me to make the space bigger. I shouldn't wait to be a board member there.
Right.
I should make the space bigger as an events lead.
As you are there right now, and comfortable, so that everyone feels that they can confidently and authentically arrive and give the best part of themselves. Thank you for that.
And it's about self-awareness. Sorry to cut you there. It's about self-awareness, because the reason why people don't want to make the space bigger is because they are not sure about themselves. I know my limitations. I know my strengths. So as soon as I know that this is a limitation, I am calling someone. I'm not trying to do that, because then I'm going to make unnecessary mistakes when I could have just brought in a sister to help me. But it's about that self-awareness, and people don't spend a lot of time understanding themselves, and then they wonder why they're anxious, when they have to show up and step up. It's because you don't know actually what you bring to the table. So you can't make the table or the space bigger, because you need to solidify and cover ground, and so there has to be some self-awareness and saying, okay, this is where I start and this is where I stop, and I need my sister to then continue.
Yeah. As we close this conversation on African resilience, bringing transformative change on this African continent, and leading authentically, what are your closing remarks?
Sure. I think I've said it when we started talking, that we have to put in the work. And if, like I said, if you ask any successful person how long it took them, we would understand that, yes, there's merit in protesting and complaining about things that are wrong in our country, but there also is there's a time factor, there's an experience factor. So we need to actually go through the journey, go through the ups and downs, go through the challenges, develop our character so that we be able to succeed. I was reading a book, and they were calling us a 2-minute noodle society.
Oh, wow.
Or generation.
Yeah.
We want things to happen instantly. There's no more apartheid. But the fight hasn't stopped. If you think about how long it took us to overcome and have democracy, we need to understand that economic liberation is going to take longer. It is going to take longer. And we need to be intentional to say we are moving as a unit, right? But it won't happen overnight. I mean, how old is our democracy? 31, 31 years, 32 years? It's and how long was apartheid here for? So there's a lot that we need to unlearn and undo, and it will not come quickly. And it's not we're not going to root out corruption today, tomorrow. It's going to need people who are brave, bold, authentic, people who want to see this continent succeed, and it won't happen overnight. And I think especially young people, we need to appreciate that it takes time. Yeah.
Thank you so much for dedicating your time to be with us today. And I'm so excited for this episode to go live.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
What a powerful conversation with Phindile Ndlovu, our SAT Global Ambassador and a trailblazing leader at the Thabo Mbeki Foundation. From the work that she has done on African peace and security dialogues to championing women's development and driving our heritage preservation, Phindile reminds us that resilient leadership isn't just about occupying a seat at the table, but it's about transforming Africa's renewal and giving more access for individuals to have a seat at the table. And as we close, I want to remind you to connect, engage, and inspire.